Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our session. Right now, I have Adam Hoots. Adam's going to talk about how capability development impacts productivity. Adam has successfully completed more than $500 million of work in life sciences, high-tech laboratory construction in all aspects from building shells to process connections and commissioning. Adam is a member of the LCI, a lean construction coach, a Green Globals certified lead AP champion. And Adam has really been involved in lean construction for a number of years right now. And he's going to share about his perspective of how to improve productivity by focusing on capability building and respect for people. Adam, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks, Doan. I appreciate it. Man, it's a tough spot going after Mr. Jason Schroeder and Spencer Easton here, but we're going to give it our all. We're going to be authentically ourselves and make it happen. So this presentation started when Dean Reed challenged me to better understand how capability development impacts productivity, but better yet, he used the words, how do teams develop the capabilities to develop capability? And so he sent me down this path of reading some of Charles Duhigg's work with Smarter, Faster, Better, The Power of Habits. These are all books that he recommended. And so the presentation I have today is a combination of that journey as well as some other leaders who have impacted my life. Now, before we get started here, right, this is going to be a little bit of a different presentation. So no, we're not going to play any 5S. So Jason already stole that one. We are going to dive in and we're going to think in this presentation. So I want you to pull the chat box open. We're just going to use the chat box that's in the software. And we're going to talk today. I want you to communicate back to me as we ask questions. We're going to pause and reflect. We're going to do some things different. So with that, we want to establish some rules, some guidelines, some things to keep us going, right? I want everybody to participate. Your opinion matters to me. It's important. We've got some of the best lean leaders in the world right here tuned in to help the Lean Construction blog advance and promote lean construction around the world. So please, please, please participate. 100% participation. We are going to think, right? We're learning to think. We're not learning to test. This is not a test. We want some things to flow here. So listen to learn. Be comfortable with the uncomfortable, and it is going to get uncomfortable. So get ready. We're going to learn by doing. So as long as you're ready, let's go. Here it is. What is team capability? You don't have to answer this now, but by the end of the presentation, I'm going to ask you to answer this question. I want you to chat it back to me. Feel free. If you have the answer already, feel free to go ahead and chat it at me. But more importantly, how does team capability impact productivity? And so we're going to learn about that today through four main points of team capabilities. And I can't overemphasize team capabilities because typically when folks think about capability, they're thinking about a person, one individual that's getting better, that's improving. But we're talking about a team, right? Total team alignment. We want that whole team to be aligned and thinking. So the first topic I'm going to cover is pause and reflect. Pause, reflect, and share. And this isn't a concept that I come up with, but it is a concept that Mr. Charlie Dunn introduced me to. And many of you might know Charlie. Charlie's right there on the left. He is not the one on the right. Charlie talked to me about pause and reflect about 3 or 4 years ago in a presentation, and man, it hit me. It was like, wow. That's where we actually learn. That's how we get better. When we stop doing what we're doing, we reflect on what we did, we think about it, and then we make adjustments later. Such an important topic. And then this guy, you all just heard of from Mr. Jason Schroeder. And I don't think there's anybody better in the world at making people a little bit uncomfortable. And I mean that with all love, Jason. But Jason introduced me through his superintendent boot camp to getting uncomfortable. And I look forward to talking to you about that. Push form, pull content. Jason referenced Mr. Nicholas Modig earlier. That's something that I've learned from Nicholas. It is an unbelievable concept where you get still top down, but also pulling bottom up. And then when we look at it all, we combine everything we talk about team capability to develop culture. And if you know her, Miss Jen Lacey, oh my goodness. If I heard culture from her one more time, she actually has turned me off to the word because I've heard it so much from her. But I love it. I love it so much because to me, culture is an outcome, and we really got to look at those things that make up culture. So these are my lean heroes for this presentation. We're going to make it happen. We're going to dive right in. Team capabilities. When a team develops capability to develop capability, productivity increases rapid. And so as we go through and we talk about these concepts, I want you to think about how you're developing your team's capability, not your individual capability, but collectively your team's capability, and how that has impacted productivity or not impacted productivity if you're not focused on it. So pause and reflect. I think so 3-point concept, right? It's pause, reflect, which is important, right? We can't just pause and then share, because what if we're not sharing something that is not the right way to do it? So you'll see this logo very often throughout the presentation. This is a pause and reflect. And then I'm going to ask Doan to go through and help us share. So why is pause, reflect, and share so important? Well, we actually get to hit the pause button. We get to celebrate successes. We get to look at things that have worked, that haven't worked, and we learn, adapt. We encourage thinking. All too often, even in our school systems these days, teachers teach to test. They don't teach to think, and that's a huge problem that is going to evolve into something really big in society. So we are thinking, we're encouraging thinking. And when we pause and we reflect, we're thinking about what just happened. And it's so important if we're making modifications move forward. I heard PDCA reviewed earlier today. I think there's a part of reflection that's different from checking. And so it's important for us to be able to distinguish the two and understand that when we reflect, we are actually learning. When we have a chance to sit down and think about what we've done, we're learning what was successful and what was not successful. There's some traditional pause examples up here from traditional construction schedule updates. We might pause, but we're still building. Rarely are we reflecting RFIs, milestone celebrations. That happens a lot with topping out, bottom out parties, that sort of thing. And technical learning. We're constantly technically learning. Some lean construction examples include learning about your workers. So getting out, going and saying hi, how are you? What are you doing this weekend? Those type of questions are learning opportunities. You might not have to be that teacher in that moment. PPCs, or better yet, if you've listened to Jason's podcast, PPIs is what I love. Daily huddles plus deltas. I think we also miss an opportunity here. How many people actually take and move plus deltas forward? How many people do things with their pluses? How many people do things with their deltas? And then TDC, team health assessments, and then the PDCA difference that we've gotten and we've talked about. So here we are, again, just trying to show the pause and reflect moments. And again, this was the impact that Charlie Dunn made lasting on me here. So this is traditional flow. We're awarded a project, and then we push, and then we're finished with the project finally, after we had to call in some help for that crash landing. Versus the lean construction flow, where it's okay, we're awarded the project, we're going to work and we're going to make things happen, but then we're going to pause and reflect. We're going to share that information. Then we're going to make modifications. We're going to work, pause, and reflect. We're going to understand through these intermediate milestones that we're on the right course to climb that mountain. All right, y'all, get ready. So when teams build the capability to pause and reflect, people feel more connected to the work. This is where it's going to get weird. So bear with me. This is going to be a little bit awkward at first, but I'm okay with awkward moments. Ask anybody that knows me. So please, let's beat up the chat for 60 seconds. You're going to have straight silence. Yes, I am giving up 4 total minutes of my presentation to silence because it's an amazing thing. And I want you to think, how do you currently pause and reflect? Doan, if you could, at the end of our pause and reflect, could you be our share button? That would be hugely helpful. So 1 minute go now.
Okay, Adam, we have a few answers. Let me read it out for you.
Sorry, Doan. Wanted to wait for that minute to happen. Please, what's the one that sticks out to you the most? Would you share that with us? What do you got, Doan?
I see journaling, walking, and also taking time to reflect. Those are the most common.
Nice. I love journaling. Writing it down causes you to think. Those are great answers. Taking a walk always helps me reflect. Let's not forget about Doan's role here and make sure we're sharing the reflections and learning that come from these pauses and reflections. So, how uncomfortable is that? That was rough. So let's talk a little bit about Jason Schroeder in the comfort zone. Okay. Promoting learning and thinking. That's why we're encouraging teams to get outside their comfort zones. I heard Frank mention it in the panel earlier. You got to encourage this. It's not natural to want to go trudging through the fear zone and into the learning zone, right? But it is. It takes a little bit of getting uncomfortable. It takes some experiential learning to really make it happen. And so we want, there is good stress, right? This good stress encourages focus, creativity, pace, and drive. Those awkward moments are amazing. And if you're ever in an elevator with me and or any of my family members, it will be the best time of your life, because I have gotten my kids outside the comfort zone in those elevators. When my kids get in, I used to be like, all right, well, JC, Lily, Kai, somebody want to tell a joke? And they would just make the awkward silence even more awkward. And so they have learned, like, I've got to come into that elevator prepared with a dad joke that's going to break that awkward silence, because they don't like that feeling. And so it's been a really, really good thing for my kids just to be able to reach outside and embrace those opportunities and have the awareness and knowledge to understand that, hey, learning is happening right now. And that's hugely important. Our craft workers could benefit tremendously from getting out of their comfort zones, from you getting outside of your comfort zone. Think about it. If you go out there and say hello, that's a hard thing to do. But when you invest in somebody personally like that and you challenge them, man, they're going to really take to that. And I caution you, though, because once you cross that fear zone, it's a little bit like a roller coaster. It can be super addicting. Anybody that knows me knows I am a fan of laws. I'm a fan of physics. I'm a fan of the science. Why does all this stuff work? And so comfort zone, there's a direct correlation between performance and arousal, or performance and stress. And so when you find that right, it's also called the Goldilocks rule. Not too much stress, not too little stress, but that just enough right stress allows us to perform in our optimal zone. So I encourage you to really think about that with each interaction that you have. Here's an amazing diagram. I'm sure some folks have seen it already. This is us in our comfort zone where we live happily in that trailer. And this is our fear zone, like, hey, putting on our gear, going down, walking. And then we get into the learning. Learning can be a lot of different things. It can be about craft workers. It could be about technical things, et cetera. And once we cross that, we're into that growth zone. So I encourage you to get out of your comfort zone as much as possible. Here's some examples of things that you can do on a daily basis to leave your comfort zone or encourage others, right? And I'm not going to read them all. I'm just going to highlight some of my favorite ones. You'll get the presentation later, but the main principle here is be comfortable being uncomfortable. And so that means doing normal things different. That means taking 10 minutes to shake 10 hands on the job, or maybe it's fist bumps with COVID days, or maybe it's a, hey, how you doing type of thing, but take 10 to shake 10, put your boots on before you boot up your computer. That's something that when I was with DPR, that was heavily practiced and I loved it. Hey, this one's going to bother everybody in this presentation from here on out. It's number 10. Next time you're talking on the phone, and I'm sure everybody will be catching up on a million phone calls as soon as we're done with Q&A. Don't be the last person to say goodbye on your phone call. Give up that control and allow somebody else to take that and run with it. It's really, really difficult because everybody's like, bye, see you. Okay, yeah, bye. All right, good. Be the last one. Give up that control and allow somebody else to take it and be comfortable with that. When